Hi, Virgo. Welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for March of 2021. Well, for you, Virgo, this month's themes are centered around partnership, intimacy, and trust. And you can learn a lot about those things in your chart and how to do them in the best possible way through a lifelong love reading. Even if the partnership that you're interested in is a business partnership, you can still learn a lot about your relationship capacity and what you need in a partner in that reading. You can find a link for it in the YouTube description below. Well, Saturn is really busy this year traveling along through the sign of Aquarius, and for you, that's likely to be the sixth house. If you have really late Virgo rising, it might be the fifth house, so I'll say a bit about that too. But I want to focus on the sixth house here because when Saturn is passing through a house, it's going to bring a feeling of heaviness and seriousness, and you feel maybe scrutinized or judged in that arena, and you feel like you've just got to get it together. And when you do, you get rewarded for doing so. This sixth house is the arena of health, service, and work and personal organization too. So when Saturn is there, you might feel like I've just got to get my home organized. I can't stand it around here anymore. I'm feeling so restricted. Or you might feel like I got to set up some new systems at work to make my work machine flow more smoothly. And any efforts that you put towards those things are going to give you relief from the discomfort of Saturn and also good results. If it falls in the fifth house because you have late in the sign of Virgo rising, late degrees, then the fifth house being the house of creation, recreation, and procreation, Saturn here is going to make you feel a little bit restricted around the fun that you can have. And it's good to take your fun seriously, actually schedule it, make time for it, and take it seriously, and maybe even turn it into a possible career or sideline. So there's some thoughts about Saturn. You can find out more about Saturn's passage through Aquarius on our YouTube channel, Pandora Astrology, in the 2021 news playlist. So Julia, I think, has some news about Mars, Mercury, and Venus. Julia, you want to take it away?
Sure, Jamie. Hi there, Virgo. I'll start with Mars. That's the planet of action, the planet of activity, and it also has a lot to do with where we're going to get angry next. And Mars moves into Gemini at the very beginning of the month on March 3rd, which is your 10th house. And the 10th house is the house of career. It's also the house of all the authority figures in your life. That can be at whatever stage of life you're in, there's usually an authority figure, whether that's a boss, whether those are your parents. Even if you run your own business, you might have to deal with governmental officials or other types of people too. So when Mars in this transit, you are probably expending a lot of energy towards your career, which can be a good thing. Mars isn't such a team player. He tends to like to do independent work. So, maybe working on your own is a better use of this time. And you could run into some conflicts with the authority figures in your life too. So be aware of that. Then Mercury, the planet of communication and mentation, starts the month in Aquarius, which is your sixth house. And Mercury really likes to be in this house, but it is still recovering from the Mercury retrograde cycle that we covered in last month's video. You should totally look at those if you wanted to know how that affected you. So for the first week, it still might be a little bit, there still might be some reverberations of that retrograde cycle, but by March 6th, Mercury is back up to its regular speed. So that's when we really count it to be over. But it does begin in the sixth house, so it is a wonderful time to really kind of have the focus to get a lot more organized in your life. And whatever systems that might be, whether that's cleaning out doing your spring cleaning or organizing files on your computer, this is a wonderful time for it. Then Mercury moves into Pisces on March 15th, which is your seventh house of partnership. So Mercury is where we communicate and where we spend a lot of our thinking. So you could be doing your best thinking during this cycle in one-to-one relationships, like with a partner, whether that's a business partner or a romantic partner that you can kind of bounce your ideas off of. Then Venus, the planet of art, beauty, and relationships, starts the month in Pisces, which again is that seventh house. And Venus really, really loves to be here because Since the seventh house has so much to do with our relationships, Venus is adding a little extra luck, a little extra pleasure and harmony to the partnerships in your life. And if you're single, it is a really good time to kind of strike when the iron's hot in the dating world too. Then on the 21st, Venus is going to go into your 8th house of other people's money and intimacy. So you can gain sort of a greater, sort of deeper psychological merging with your partner during this time. Since this is the house of other people's money too, you can also get a little extra luck with maybe your partner earning more money, maybe getting you a few presents too. And or, you know, if you share money with institutions, like you need to ask for a loan or refinance something, then you could have a little extra luck in those types of negotiations as well.
Yeah. And Venus is involved in both of this month's moons. The first one is happening on the 13th. It's this new moon in Pisces you're seeing right here, along with a whole cluster of planets in that 7th house of relationship, really bringing the emphasis to relationship. And new moons often are times of new beginnings. And so that sense of freshness, of rebirth in your relationships, there's a real sweetness to that, especially with Venus nearby in Pisces, where she's exalted, and in the 7th house in your particular case, where she feels at home. So I think that this new moon has a lot of great stuff to it. We're calling this one Dreams of Partnership. There is a little bit of conflict built right in because the sun and the moon square Juno, which has to do with marriage. And then that Juno squares Venus, which has to do with love. So there might be a little bit of conflict between, like, you know, how do we feel about each other versus what is the vow that we took that has us together. And so working that out is going to be a first order of business under this moon. And then a little later in the month, on the 28th, we have the second moon, which is a full moon in Libra right here. That falls in your 2nd house, which is a financial house. It has to do with the money and the possessions and the resources that are your own. And so the moon will have you having a lot of feelings about that and looking for a sense of fairness and balance around that. But it's poised against the sun, because that's the nature of a full moon. The sun and the moon always oppose each other. And the sun is hanging out with Chiron, which has to do with themes of healing and old wounds coming up. And then also, look, there's Venus involved with this again. And so the relationship themes are really thick on the ground this month in general. Now, the 8th house has to do with transformation and metamorphosis, death and rebirth experiences, but also the experience of intimacy and trust. And so a lot of themes this month are around partnership and what do we say this partnership is, but what is it really on the inside, and how much do we trust each other? Where can we trust each other? Where can we lean on each other? And how do we find ourselves in a balance? And so that's some of where that theme comes from. Yeah, and we're calling that moon Love and Healing, mostly because of the involvement of Venus and Chiron. And so there could be some really lovely opportunities to reestablish trust, to behave in a trustworthy fashion and show that you're trustworthy, and to allow yourself to begin trusting again after a painful experience. And that could be a sweet way to start over. So then we have the equinox, which happens on the 20th. And that's the sun moving into the sign of Aries in the beginning of Aries season, which is the beginning of the zodiacal year, actually. And it's a fire sign. And so there's that feeling of excitement and enthusiasm, the surging up of energy, and the freshness and the newness and the willingness to start again. And there really couldn't be a better time, because we've been saying for a couple of months now that this winter and early spring is some of the best time all year for beginning the new really large projects of life, such as making a large purchase like a car or a home, or signing on a lease for a car or a home, or starting a business. Any of these things will do better in March for 2 reasons. One is because there are no outer planets retrograde right now at all. And that means that there will be, it's going to sound like a double negative, which it kind of is, a lack of self-sabotage built right into the bones of whatever it is that you begin. And that's also tied to the fact that Mercury is now direct too. And both of those factors really help. And then, when the sun moves into Aries, that there's that desire to just, start something. So because of all this, I do recommend that you, begin something that will be your year's project and begin it in March. And I'm going to leave you with this quote from Goethe, which you've probably heard before, but right now is a really good time for it. Whatever you can do or dream you can, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. So March is the month for sprinkling some pixie dust on things that you want to start. Well, that's all we have for you today. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. And if you did enjoy this video, please share it widely, like it, and subscribe to our channel. On our YouTube channel, you can generally find the news of the month, and you can find the horoscopes. And also visit us on the web at pandoraastrology.com, where you can find the monthly forecast page, your horoscopes on that page, and then also you could always get a reading or even join a class. And until next time, we'll see you around the cosmos. Bye.
Bye-bye.